Hi my loves, and welcome back to my channel. Hemali here, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today Vikra is taking me out on a little date night. We haven't gone on a date night in a really long time because everyone was in lockdown. The last time we probably went on a date night was, I think, last year, like September-ish. So it's been a minute and I'm just really excited to go out. So I'm gonna get dressed up, and I thought I would do a little chit chat, get ready with me, because I haven't done one of these in a really long time. I want to talk to you about 2020, what I went through, all my anxiety and depression and mood swings and everything that's like really changed since last year, how much I've grown. I'm going to do my makeup, but I'm not going to talk about what products I'm using. I'll just list it on the screen so that you can see what product that I'm using, but I'm not going to go into detail about what I'm using because I just want to talk about all this other stuff. All right, let's get into it. I wanted to get into what 2020 was like for me because it was quite the roller coaster, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the exact same way. COVID was just something that no one was expecting to happen, and it just threw off all my life plans, and it really sucked. A lot of you know that I was supposed to get married last year, and literally 3 weeks before our wedding was supposed to happen, COVID hit, and we were just thrown the curveball of like, what do we do with our wedding? Like, do we go through with it or do we not? And as you can probably tell by now, we didn't actually go through with our full wedding. And while our wedding was being canceled, I was also losing a lot of business in terms of like brand sponsorships and stuff like that. A lot of people were pulling their campaigns because they just didn't think it was an appropriate time to be posting ads when, you know, the world was in crisis, which is totally fair. And then you're also just trying to deal with the whole aspect of living through a global pandemic. So it was a lot of things like hitting me at once. I finally felt like I was slowly getting better in terms of my mental health. There was a lot of stuff that had happened prior to 2020 that really messed me up. I was having a lot of health problems. I was in and around a lot of toxic people. You know, I got into a car accident and my business was just like starting off, so I was working a lot, and my mental health was complete trash before 2020, and I felt like coming up to my wedding, my mental health was finally getting better and I was like getting a hold of things, and then COVID hit and all of that also came crashing down. My mental health took a serious turn, and it felt like everything that I had worked towards in terms of getting better just like completely got wiped away, and I had to start from scratch again. And like going through lockdown was probably one of the worst things for my mental health because it gave me so much time to sit with my thoughts. And I'm one of those people that like I overthink a lot and I tend to spiral. So lockdown was not fun for me. I was having crazy mood swings and also trying to just keep positive with whatever was happening with my wedding and my business, and it was a lot to take in. Like, I can't lie, on the outside it may have looked like I had like kept it together, but on the inside I was crumbling to pieces. I seriously had like no motivation left in me at all because I felt like I had used all my energy to get better up until 2020. And then when all of this happened, I was like, what the fuck is the point? Like, what is the point anymore? Because I tried so hard and then everything got ruined. Everything that I worked so hard towards just got taken away from me, and I was grieving pretty hard, I would say. I just really didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how to pick myself up out of it. I became really depressed, and a lot of you guys know that I have this condition called PMDD, and when I get really stressed out and depressed like that, my PMDD mood swings get way worse. So I was going through these crazy mood swings at the time too whenever I was getting my period. And yeah, I had just lost all hope because I was like, anytime I try to do anything, it all just comes crashing down again. So what's the point of even trying? I felt like that for about like 3.5 months, I would say, ever since like COVID was announced in like March of 2020. It took me till June to get myself back together. I'm not gonna lie, I was just a complete mess until then. And then in June, I think because the weather started getting better, I felt like more motivated to do stuff because I started seeing the sun and whatever. And I don't know, I just got this like burst of energy in me. I told myself I needed to stop moping around. I need to get my life together because things aren't going to change anytime soon. So I can either let this whole situation make me or break me. And that's when I started kind of putting a game plan together. I decided that I really needed to get help for my mental health because I felt like I was drowning inside of my head. And when I was talking to one of my friends, she recommended a therapist to me who was a friend of hers, and I decided to contact her and start going to therapy. One of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Honestly, I wish I had started going to therapy much earlier, but whatever. I guess we all have our own timing of our healing journey. So in June, I just recognized, I was like, there's no way that I can get out of this by myself. I feel like I need some type of professional help. I also realized at this point that I needed to create different revenue streams of income, because if I didn't, then I was just relying on one source of income. And you know, if people were canceling their campaigns with me, and I wasn't really seeing sponsorship deals, then I wasn't going to make any money. And the only person I can really rely on making myself money was me, so I needed to come up with another game plan. At the end of June, I ended up launching my first webinar, and I'm so happy I did it because it was really successful. I ended up doing 6 more webinars that year after that, and this year I decided to bring them back again. And that was such a lifesaver to me. All those people who decided to sign up and learn my social media tips and tricks, like, they have no idea what they did for me. Like, they seriously gave me so much hope, not just because like I was making money through this other like revenue stream, but it was like, okay, I know I can do it on my own. I know that I can figure out something on my own. And those people that supported me through that just really gave me hope that I was smart and capable of figuring this all out. Another thing that happened in and around that time was BLM, and oh my gosh, the amount of hate that I was getting online was crazy. I think everyone was just stuck inside because of COVID and had nothing else to do, and everyone else was just, you know, dealing with COVID in their own way. So there was definitely an increase in trolls, and then the whole BLM movement happened, and you had so many people just like messaging you as an influencer being like, why aren't you talking about this, or why aren't you doing anything about this? And even though I was when I did do stuff and when I did talk out, I was getting hate for that, being like, you know, people that were against BLM were like sending me hate messages and death threats. And then if I wasn't doing anything about it, there was people also sending me hate and death threats being like, why aren't you doing anything about it? So that also took a pretty big toll on my mental health. Just going through all of that, like getting all those messages. And then on top of that, just learning about Black history, because I took the liberty to like, you know, watch documentaries and read articles and things like that. And it was just really tough to take in all this information about their history and the way they're treated. So I can't even imagine how they feel and have been feeling over the last like hundreds and hundreds of years. Like, it is so unfair to them. And, you know, I also felt really guilty because I know I was part of the problem. Maybe I didn't go out of my way to hate Black people, but like there was definitely racism within my community that I never called out. And, you know, and I just kind of like let it happen, and I felt like, like, I can't believe I did that. So there was a lot of thoughts going through me at the time about that. One thing that really threw me off in terms of BLM was not just like learning about Black history and how awful it was and like, you know, talking about that kind of stuff, but it completely changed my mind about how I felt about myself and my career and what I was doing with my platform, because I felt like I was so blessed to have this platform with hundreds of thousands of followers, people that actually looked up to me and listened to me. And I was like, what am I doing with this? I'm just sharing makeup and fashion tips. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it made me feel so unfulfilled, and it made me feel like I can't believe I'm taking this for granted. So along with me going through this crisis of like trying to figure out what's happening with my wedding and losing all this money through contracts and my mental health going to shit, I started questioning my entire career and what I was doing with it, and if I was doing enough, and if I needed to change what I was doing. And through that thought process, I was like, no, I need to start talking about things that are important to me. I need to start giving voice to women, especially because that's something I've always felt so strongly about, because as a woman, I've been told no so many times, and I've always had really strong opinions about how people treat women, and I usually stood up for myself when it came to like how people treated me as a woman. I try my best not to take other people's shit just because I was a woman. And that reflected a lot in my relationship with like my parents, especially, and standing up for myself in my career and things like that. But I realized there's so many women out there that, you know, don't feel like they have that voice. And I wanted to be that voice for them. I wanted to make them realize that they too are valuable and they deserve to stand up for themselves, and that they can stand up for themselves. And I also really wanted to talk about mental health because it was something I struggled with for so long and was still struggling with. And I didn't want other people to feel so alone in the journey, because I know what that felt like. And these were topics that were really close to my heart, and I always did want to talk about, but never had the balls to talk about it. But with BLM happening, it opened this gate to be able to talk about such controversial and vulnerable topics. And I felt like that was my chance. I was like, you know what? If I want to talk about these things, now's the time to talk about it. And so I started doing that on my page. And then that's what led me to create my second Instagram page, Up to No Good. And if you guys aren't following me there, please do follow me there. But that's where I talk about a lot of like controversial topics, and call out social injustices, and talk about just things that are close to my heart. And it just did so well. I got so much great feedback from it. I obviously got a lot of hate on it too, but it filled my soul. I felt like I was finally doing something that made me really happy and made me feel like I had some type of purpose. But it was also really confusing to deal with, because I didn't want to give up like what I was doing as a makeup artist. I also really like that side, and I felt like because I was posting this kind of stuff on my makeup page, it was causing me to lose a lot of followers and things like that, which is another reason I started that Up to No Good page. It's really crazy how that event shifted my career in a sense. And now when you look at my content, it's not just like makeup related, but it is very like empowering, especially for women. And I hope just like everyone, but especially for women, because that's who I want to target, because I feel like we really don't have a voice sometimes. And it's just been so amazing to see all the positive feedback I've gotten from it, in the sense of people messaging me being like, oh man, I'm so happy you talk about this kind of stuff. It makes me feel less alone. And just all the sweet messages I get. Like, I can't even begin to tell you how happy it makes me, because it's exactly what I wanted. And even though I was the one opening up and being vulnerable, it made me feel like I was less alone, because I was getting all these messages and comments of people relating to me, and I was like, wow, okay, it's not just me then. And it made me feel really good. So it's really crazy how this series of events and me losing myself brought me to this wonderful place of, you know, helping others and speaking my truth, and, you know, advocating for women and for mental health. Like, it just, it's crazy how sometimes you need to kind of break down in order to build back up again. And then at this time too, when I started to become more vocal about this kind of stuff, I did start therapy, like I mentioned before, and therapy also just really changed my life. If you are struggling with mental health and you can afford therapy, I would highly recommend going to it. I think it's so unfortunate that therapy is not something that's just like provided for free, because I feel like everyone struggles with mental health at some point in their life, or can just use the extra help in terms of coping with your mental health or understanding your emotions, because that's not something that we're taught too much as kids. So once you get into adulthood, you are left trying to figure out how to deal with your emotions, and it can be so confusing. So yeah, if you're able to afford therapy, I highly recommend it. I had so many epiphanies through therapy. One thing therapy really helped me with was learning how to communicate better. Like, I had no idea how to communicate. I grew up in an Indian household where, no one really talked about their feelings. It was like you just dealt with it on your own, and you sucked it up and moved on with your life. And you never really like processed your emotions. And so therapy finally helped me process my emotions and identify my triggers and help me understand, okay, when am I going to go into anxiety? When am I going to go into depression? What's going to make me angry? What makes me feel unsafe? And really address my childhood traumas, which I never addressed before. I mean, like, I kind of did, but like not to the extent that I did in therapy. And oh my gosh, it made the world of a difference, especially in my relationship, because I was able to tell Vikra exactly what I needed and when I needed it. And I was able to tell him how to talk to me, because prior to that, I didn't know how to tell him to talk to me. I didn't know how I wanted to even be talked to, because I've only been talked to one way, which is being put down all the time. And I felt like, he should just know how to treat me. He should know how, like, his words make me feel. But that's not always true, because he too didn't grow up in a household where you talk about your emotions. So being able to go through therapy and understand, the right words to use and understand what triggered me made like the world of a difference. I was able to come up with some great coping mechanisms for when I would spiral, and also come up with coping mechanisms with Vikra to help me through whatever I was going through. And before I knew it, I wasn't having anxiety attacks anymore, at least not to the extent that I was before. Like, I wasn't losing my shit all the time. I was able to calm down from my mood swings way faster. And now, like, I'm barely even getting them, which is like absolutely amazing. And one thing that I really learned was it's crazy how much our past childhood trauma can develop into physical symptoms. And it's not that our body is messed up, it's that our body is crying for help. And not addressing what happened to you in the past can really mess up how you function as an adult. I'm so thankful that therapy helped me discover that. And honestly, I don't think if COVID happened, I wouldn't have gone through that. Like, I wouldn't have had the time to do all the inner work and slow down and realize what was going on with me. So as much as COVID threw me in that whirlwind of like losing my mental health and losing myself, it led me to discover who I was as a person and what I wanted to do with my life and heal my inner child and learn to start to really love myself again. And I'm so thankful for that. The combination of COVID giving me the time to, I guess, do some inner work and inner healing and going to therapy really saved so many relationships of mine. It saved my relationship with Vikra in the sense of I was able to communicate with him better and tell him exactly what I needed in order to kind of help me through whatever I was going through, instead of just like taking my anger out on him because I was so frustrated with myself and like dealing with whatever I was dealing with. It helped my relationship with my parents so much. I was finally able to come from a place of love and empathy and compassion when talking to them now instead of a place of resentment, because I felt like for so long I harbored this resentment against them and my childhood and how they treated me. And through therapy I was able to learn that I'm allowed to feel hurt by what they did to me, but also at the same time be compassionate about the circumstances that they went through, and that even though that their actions weren't intentional, they still had an impact in my life, and how was I going to move forward knowing that it had an impact in my life. And it really helped me cope with that whole situation. And then finally, it helped me save my relationship with myself. I felt like I had no relationship with myself. After what happened to me in 2016 to 2018, I went through like the roughest years of my life. I had completely lost myself. I feel like the combination of therapy and 2020 really slowing down my life gave me the time to rediscover myself and understand what makes me happy, and help me set boundaries, and you know, really help me understand who I am and what I want to do with my life. And I am so freaking thankful for that. Like, you have no idea. And now that I'm looking back at 2020, it was a rough year, but oh my God, I feel like it saved me. Like, I feel like it just transformed me as a person. It also saved me in the sense that I started to become so much more compassionate with myself and be kind to myself. One thing that I learned through therapy was how mean I am to myself, and I didn't always realize that. Like, I knew I like talked down to myself, but I didn't realize how much I talked down to myself. And my therapist always pointed it out. She was just like, why are you so hard on yourself? Like, you're doing so well. Like, why are you talking down to yourself like that? And once I was able to start, you know, becoming more compassionate with myself, and learning to forgive myself and not be so hard on myself, I saw that reflected in all my other relationships, because I started being like so much more easygoing in my other relationships. And it really did help me come from a place of love and compassion and empathy when I approached other relationships, especially relationships that were like really hard and I felt like had took a lot of toll on me. Honestly, as much as I hated 2020, it was so necessary. And if I had to go back, and change it, I really wouldn't. Like, I wouldn't. I think it just like, it made me who I am. And today I feel so much happier with myself. Like, I can't even begin to tell you. Like, my last period was really great. Like, you know, I still had my ups and downs, but it was nothing compared to what I was dealing with before. And that's just like a sign to me that it's only going to get better from here. And I just feel so much more fuller and happier, and, you know, at peace with myself. So yeah, that was my little 2020 journey. I'm gonna finish doing my lips because I can't really talk and do my lips at the same time. It's hard. I'm gonna throw on a red lip because I feel like it's date night, and, you know, a red lip is always sexy for date nights, right? All right, I'm all done doing my makeup. Now I'm gonna go do my hair, throw on my clothes and my jewelry and all that good stuff, and then I'll be back to show you guys the final look. All right, this is the final look. I absolutely love my earrings. I planned my whole outfit around these earrings. I got them from Winners. They were only $16, and they're these like evil eye, funky little earrings. I thought they were just so cute, and I so desperately wanted to wear them. So yeah, that's why you got this look. Now, before I go, I just want to end this video off by saying 2020 was a crazy year, but I am so thankful for it. And I feel like I was able to discover myself through it. And I know it was rough for a lot of you out there, but I hope somehow, some way you were able to find a silver lining through it all. And I also wanted to say I really appreciate you guys creating a safe space for me to be open and vulnerable and talk about things that people don't normally talk about. You know, whenever I do open up on my channel, I always get the sweetest comments of people encouraging me and sharing their own stories, and it makes me feel really happy because I feel like, you know, we're breaking the stigma around mental health and getting help for it, and you know, breaking the stigma that we always have to be perfect all the time, and sharing that everyone does go through struggles. So thank you for doing that with me and for me. You guys make me feel like I'm not alone in this journey, and you make me feel very loved. So I really, really appreciate it. Now I gotta get going because I'm gonna be late for my reservations otherwise, but before I go, I wanna say, Please do not forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. And as always, I love you guys and I'll see you next time. Bye!